This content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to our second Bad Ben discussion. Now, I have been, I'm joined here by Mo of his channel, Retrocult Home Video.
Hey.
And of course, I'm also joined by Kim from Kim Creates Stuff, which is also a great channel.
Oh, thank you.
And we are here to just enjoy the second Bad Ben film. Bad Ben 2, Steelmanville Road, which happens to be the, what was it? The name of the road that the house is on.
Indeed.
So I'm going to do a quick view over so that people can see this trailer. They won't be seeing it, they'll be hearing the trailer because I'm doing this podcast style, but let's go ahead and share this.
Missed opportunity to layer some 70s porn music over this love story.
Oh my God.
There we go. Did I get the sound on it for you?
Yes, sir.
All right. That can be hidden.
Might feel a little confused just too early, but this is our new house tonight.
See, that's the first sign.
I'm hearing voices.
Look, I'll call Silas tomorrow. I'll get him to look up those cameras. He'll get used to it. Okay?
Oh, you never get used to hearing voices.
I see you. I'm so sorry. I never should have left you. Do you believe in ghosts?
These Pineys you speak of, they call him the Jersey Devil.
Oh, shit. Was that the same coffee table in the last movie?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just had so much stuff on it, but we used to have that same coffee table with the 3 glass panes in it.
Rach! Where's the
Maybe
baby?
a bunch of VHS tapes stacked under there.
Rachel, where's the baby?
That looks interesting too. 10 terrible video games that ruined iconic characters. Yes.
Well, it's got Billy Bones from Black Sails there in the thumbnail, so I didn't know he was involved in some video game stuff.
Let's see. I get rid of this one. Boom. There
My
we
dead hoe. Is that what this?
So let's see here. The film itself is a prequel, of course, to Bad Ben, where you've got this couple that move in. Looks like the wife is some sort of vlogger, and the husband does something that requires him to dress a little bit up and go out all night. and they inherit this house from her mother, which she'd never known, and strange things happen in the house, and they end up having to try and figure it out. Very Paranormal Activity like. I mean, if you couldn't see the inspiration from Paranormal Activity on the first film, this one downright slaps you in the face with it. So I'm just going to start off with Kim. Obviously, this was not your first time seeing the film, but what were your first impressions of Steelmanville Road?
I mean, initially I was like, okay, this is going to be an awesome prequel. We'll get the origin story of the house and how and why it's haunted. But I'm still kind of confused. Like, what does our mother have to do with anything? What does the supposed brother have to do with anything? The brother character, you never see that character anymore in the rest of the films. So what the hell is haunting the house? Like, this movie, you thought it was going to answer questions, and it just created more questions.
Well, what about you, Mo? Was this your first time seeing Bad Ben 2?
Oh, well, yeah. These are all going to be first times for me, and gotta say, man, it's kind of ass. You know, I thought that there was going to be, I thought that there was going to be more to it. Okay, it's half ass and half cool. You know, you got the Mormon kid and Corpse Pate going around like tormenting him, or not really even tormenting him, like kind of just facilitating some torment. I half expected there to be like a badass black metal track burst in there at some point while he just started ravaging one of the people in the house, but that never happened, which was kind of a bummer. It does feel like it's very hard. Like the first one, I didn't even really get Paranormal Activity vibes from, outside of the fact that there was some supernatural shit going on and it was found footage. You know, the dude being there to evaluate this house that he got to flip made it unique enough that it was like I could remove myself a bit from the Paranormal Activity gimmick. This one feels like it's just trying to be Paranormal Activity. The characters were annoying as shit. I didn't like either her or her husband. Silas was okay.
We want to see them again.
And I really liked Evil Zelda, you know, like you half expect her to come in and be like, this house is clean, but instead she unlocks the door so the Jersey Devil can bang that lady. I thought that was pretty funny. You know, the whole Jersey Devil element that gets brought in, that I'm sure we'll expound upon as we go here, was neat. That's what saved the movie for me, was the spiritualist lady coming in, and the additions to the lore of why this happened, and some of the things that connect forward to the first one. You know, I like the picture that she drew and that kind of stuff. The you know, Mona or whatever her name was, putting the voodoo dolls and the shit in the attic and stuff. Like, all that was neat. And explaining the cameras once again was a cool way to sort of create what we praised in the last one, of being that justification for the found footage element of it. So I'm glad that they did that with Silas. I'm glad that it all lined up and made sense. On paper, and in terms of like hitting certain points that you have to do to be a successful sequel, prequel, or I guess there's no fun word to make up for that right now. But you know what I mean? Like it hits the marks it needs to, but a lot of the fun elements of, I guess, the character, it's insane to me that the dude in the first one could support an entire movie so much better than like multiple people could in this one. You know, I enjoyed watching that dude far more than I enjoyed watching these two kids, like newly married. The lady did look a bit like Jacqueline Lovell from the Full Moon films, though, and she's pretty cute, so I like that. Just sucks that she was so annoying.
Actually, you know, it's funny that you mentioned it. I'm glad that you like the guy, because he'll be around for pretty much all the Bad Ben movies from here on out.
I'm looking forward to that. This one I might skip in the future, where I too marathon the movies, I think.
Yeah, this one, I really do feel like when I watched this the first time, I was more surprised like how somebody with such a low budget could pull off what he did.
It was cool.
So I really do think that overshadowed my initial impressions at first, because the first film kind of had a balance of a little bit of comedy, but mostly trying to be horror. And this one kind of dropped the comedy aspect altogether.
Yeah.
And just tried to be a straight out horror film.
You hit the nail on the head when you said that, like, he was really gunning for that next Paranormal Activity slot, especially with this one, because the first one feels like it was just a cool found footage movie the guy did with a different angle. This one feels like it's trying to be the next big, found footage thing, and it just kind of falls flat, man. I mean, you can't have a Mormon kid in corpse paint just wandering around the house and expect us not to laugh at how bad that is.
Well, I do think that there must have been something that hit him after this, because the film's kind of go in a very different direction after that.
Looking forward to it.
It's kind of weird because this is probably my least favorite of the movies in the series. And the next one up is my favorite of the movies in the series.
Nice.
So it's kind of interesting how we go from this to Badder Ben, which will be next month's film. But as we said, it is a prequel. So we actually start with our couple pulling in and enjoying the new home that they've inherited. Now, I'm gonna say this: if I'd already had an established home and I knew that this was the house I was at, I probably would have just been saying, you know what? There's some mysterious circumstances behind this. Let's just sell this house and start fresh with the money. We can pay off where we're at now. Or
oh man, flipping houses didn't work too good in the first movie. So.
That house didn't need a lot to be flipped, to tell you.
I think it needs to just be burned down. It's probably the solution. Burn it down for the insurance money.
Get a priest in there to conduct an exorcism, something, I don't know.
So, other than annoying, what did y'all think of our couple?
That's almost kind of it, bro.
They
impossibly white. That's
like they're so boring. But you know what confuses me is that they go from being this happy couple to fighting like cats and dogs in literally like 10 minutes. It was so weird. Like they move into the house and she's vlogging, she's happy, and then he has to go to work because the utilities are apparently so much he has to work extra. Which, by the way, we never do find out what the hell he does for a living.
Well, I mean,
that he's gone all night long.
But that's the weird thing. I thought maybe he worked at a gas station all that or something. But then again, he wears a freaking tie.
Is he like a maitre d' at a restaurant, like a fancy restaurant?
I don't know, man, or like some type of accountant or
an accountant that works at night away from home. I don't think
maybe he's like a busboy.
Based on the shirt and tie that he's wearing in the movie, his job can't possibly be interesting enough to highlight.
I think he like works as the manager for like a high-end restaurant or something like that. That's the feeling I got. But it's like, she's biting his head off, he's biting her head off. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
They're really kind of nasty to each other, man, and it's jarring because the dude in the first movie was nasty to the ghost, but in general he just seemed like a crotchety older fella that bought this house to flip it and wear his dad briefs and cries when he gets beat up. These guys just cried half of the movie, like the lady was impossibly whiny most of it. It's like even right out the gate when she's just hearing basic noises that totally could be Forrest noises, she's whiny as hell.
There's nothing wrong with this house. Then why the fuck did you want to move in there?
That's the thing, is they were given the option. They were like, okay, so what do you want to do? You want to sell this house? And she was like, I don't know. I don't. But that's like, well, yes, just sell it then. If it's that bad, sell it and get rid of it. And
then like the friend, like she's such a bitch to his friend.
Yeah, and Silas is super cool. Like he gives them the cameras. He comes in to set them up. Like he's trying to be nice to both of them.
Yeah, and then like that one time he shows up when the husband's at work and he's like, okay, I got some more cameras for the downstairs. Just wait for him to get home. Bitch, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah, and you aren't even paying this guy. Like, what the hell?
And she's like yelling at him to wait for him to get home. It's like, wow. This dude he could be out to dinner with a girl. He could be at home playing video games. He could be doing something. He's doing you a favor. You're probably not paying him. And you're snapping at him Like, bitch, he's doing this for you because you're
Yeah.
lying. And I love when he fucking ate her ass up and let her know, like, you are driving him crazy, blah, blah, blah. He's doing all this for you. I was like, yes, let that bitch know about herself. Check
She's
her.
hot, but she would be slasher bait if I'd kick her right in the shins and offer her up to the slasher. You know, like, I'm getting out of
so
here.
glad he ate
You're
her
done.
ass up.
So, by the way, spoiler warning. But yeah, also, of course, he turns on his friend at the end too. Things like, you're spying on us with the camera, and he just goes off on him, not giving him any time to, come back. I kind of guess I understand why he went off. Like, are you trying to look in on her? Because, the bedrooms and stuff have these cameras in them. You even see where she unplugs the camera on the infamous scene where she gets raped by the demon because she's ready to take her shirt off and then there.
But
It's
she
like,
flips him off in that way where it's like,
mm,
I mean, because they're all friends, right? These three people, like Silas is the husband's friend and she's obviously his wife. So they probably had many, many dealings together. And just, I don't know, man, the way she flipped him off with that coy smile made me feel like maybe his suspicions weren't totally unfounded. Like there possibly was like a drunken holiday where they were flirting too much or something. It's not said explicitly in the movie, I don't think, but it could have happened, and they're young people, right? These aren't people that have been married like 20 years.
No, they're like in their late 20s. It looks like.
Right.
And we don't see the stuff going on at first. It's more reported by the wife.
Mhm.
So we're kind of in his shoes, looking at this, getting the stuff changed. And one of the things that I do like about the Bad Ben films is I like the subtle nature that they do, like one of the chairs starts moving in the background when they're talking.
Right.
I think it's one of the first things you see are the shadows moving around, which is something that he probably took from Paranormal Activity, obviously, but
maybe. But one thing that he didn't is the consistency between. I mean, a lot of that comes down to them shooting in the same house with a lot of the same props and probably very close together. I don't know how long after the first movie that this one was made, but the consistency in logic and props and the environment around them. And even in the lore building, I do got to give them like a lot of props for. Even though I didn't like this movie as much as the first one, it sets up some cool stuff that, obviously a lot of attention to detail was paid. I feel like the house even kind of looked like how it might have been decorated before the people abruptly moved out in the first one, like we talked about the coffee table briefly, and I didn't even notice it was the same coffee table in the first movie. Because I feel like he was always moving it around or there was stuff on top of it. And I was always looking for something else to happen when they showed it. But I mean, it's, I feel like all the furniture and stuff was already in there. So and you said it was like his mom's or his parents' house, right?
It's her mom's
mother's
house.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about in real life, like the dude that made the movie.
Oh no, that was his house.
It's his house, but he's living with his parents.
Yeah, his parents were sickly and elderly, so he had his parents living with him. And the backstory is that the cameras were all set up like that so that he could keep an eye on his parents when he wasn't at home.
Right. And, the consistency that lends to both of these projects, I think, is something that can't go understated because a lot of prequels lose points for consistency, but this, they were able to basically shoot it in essence on the same exact set with the same exact props that they did the first movie with.
Because
so that,
in the first movie, he's like, why are all these damn cameras around the house? Well, now we know.
Yeah.
Who set them up and why they were all around the house.
They do a good job of setting up the first film.
Yeah.
Everything falls into place. Even the burying of Ben at the end, you get to see. But we've talked a little bit about them, but why don't we talk about the mother's friend? And I'll admit, she was my favorite character in the film.
That crazy woman.
Who is a kind of a psychic spiritualist or something like that. And so they get desperate trying to figure out, what's going on here. I mean, she eventually is able to show him on the cameras, like, look at what's going on. They see the brother walking around with the kind of like ghost eyes and stuff, talking backwards.
Yeah, it's like a reverse. Like you think he's going to knock on the door and ask him if they have a moment to talk about the Lord, but he's already in the house. It's it's one of those things, you know. I like how his face makeup was exactly like J-Man from the band Mushroomhead too, and he used to wear those like Mormon style shirts with a tie when he was on stage. So it gave me some nostalgia in that element, but. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's they go for some pretty hokey choices too with Mona, even though I love the character. I think that was part of the charm. And I think with the kid, Jeremiah, like Kim said, there's not a whole lot of explanation behind his involvement in a lot of it. How did this demon get him to just off himself and let him in the house? I mean, unless I missed something in there, I don't know. You guys can fill me in on that.
A lot of the motivations are suspect. Like, her motivation seems to be to protect them at first, but then switches to kind of I'm going to help create the next Jersey Devil.
Well, that lady's a hardcore bitch to her, like she is to everybody else in the movie. So she's just like, fuck this girl. And she unlocks the door. And I love that. That's like right there with the selfie stick sort of door lock. I find it hilarious that both of my favorite moments in both movies involve the same door and people either locking it or unlocking it for different reasons, you know.
And this is the first, I think it might be the only film that shows that porch. Which I feel
like he was walking around on that sun porch thing in the first one on the phone at one point, wasn't he?
I think so.
Because it's a really neat little screen porch that he has, and they have big screen TVs in most rooms of the house, I've noticed, and even that porch has a big screen TV on it.
Yeah, they were clearly sitting well when they were living in this house. I mean, I have a total of 2 TVs myself, 3 if we count the one upstairs, which is like a communal TV between me and my brother. So, man, I'd sure love to have a TV on my porch, though. I'd probably be out there drinking beer and watching movies all the time. But
we got one on our porch.
Well, technically, it's in here now.
Oh yeah, it's true. We did move it.
But yeah, it's just it's interesting to see the house. And little bits of it revealed throughout. Like there's sometimes a room that you go to that you didn't see in another film, or they utilize some of them, like upstairs bedrooms and bathrooms. It's as you go through the series, you start to get a good feel for the layout of the house.
It seems so. This one definitely fleshed out, like you said, some more rooms in the house that we hadn't seen in the first one. It gave you a better sense of the space that they're working with this. Even though they didn't use a ton of it, it was still cool that they established it for the sake of like knowing the layout of the place where this was all happening, you know.
So, of course, when they consult with her, she does a couple of things to try and keep the brother out. And this is what my take was, is that the brother had disagreed with the idea of creating the next Bad Ben or the next Jersey Devil, and he ended up paying for it. And his presence in the house was actually keeping out the bad spirits, which is why they had to set the stuff to block him from entering the house.
Right.
Because you notice that the Jersey Devil was stuck outside. That guy did not come in until after they banished the brother.
Exactly, dude. And that kind of calls back to the first one. If you remember in our last conversation, we talked pretty extensively about how it seemed like one of the spirits was kind of protective. And once they, he did the whole selfie stick exorcism thing, he was just kind of left in there with the bad spirit or the bad version of the spirit afterwards. I don't know enough yet to say one way or the other, but it did seem to kind of follow that same general theme that we had in the first one. So maybe that good spirit in the first one was Jeremiah again, because they had removed the stuff from the house, if you remember, right? Or no, it was still in the house, but then he removed it and then he brought it back for the selfie stick exorcism. And I'm thinking he pushed Jeremiah out again and then let Bad Ben or the devil back in there, So I thought that was cool, like way to show that this had happened before in a sense,
So I think that the husband, it was his spirit and the wife's were still in the house, at least in the first film. Of course,
that's possible too, for sure.
And you've got Ben, who, of course, the whole story behind it is that you've got this Jersey Devil, and they need to basically have one of these hybrid children ever so often.
Essentially, like the devil was born, and it's implied that throughout the generations, each time one of those devils reaches the end of its life, it's got to mate with somebody from that same bloodline. Very dueling banjos to get the same results again, so that there's like it continues the bloodline of the Jersey Devil, which I thought was super fucking cool. Honestly, that was my favorite element of the movie.
I guess Ben is kind of last of the line, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, the way they explain it is somewhat confusing because the first Jersey Devil came about, what was it, like 100 years ago? But then, like, supposedly her mom was the first. Well, I guess that tracks, actually. If it had a similar lifespan to a human, 50, 60 years down the road, her mom would have been the one that, got by the Jersey Devil and his nocturnal prowlings and gave birth to Ben, which she then would have been wanting to, obviously continue the line 50 some years later or whatever. I'm no expert on the Jersey Devil, but I feel like isn't the story from like the late 1800s or something like that?
I can't remember when that story originated. I mean, it's a very common story, but oh man, I don't remember.
It's definitely an older story.
Yeah, it's just like any other like boogeyman type stuff. Like Loch Ness Monster or
right.
Sasquatch.
General cryptid shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the first time I'd ever heard the term pineys for like the rednecks that live in the Pine Barrens. When I hear that, I think of like little sprites that steal your syrup or something off the trees. I don't know. But it was cool to know that is that a real term that exists over there, or is that made up for the movie?
That's a good question. As somebody who was born in the South, it's hard to say.
I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you either.
I always forget you guys are technically in the South. Like I think of the East Coast as just New Jersey, New York, and like Long Island for some reason, and Maine.
No, we're in the home of the Confederate.
And then Florida, because you always hear like random tweaker stories from Florida. But
well, we're much saner than Florida, but that's not saying much.
It depends on what part of the state you go to.
I think we're all better off to not be living in Florida, if I'm honest. But I think Bad Ben and a little Jersey Devil baby would be the least thing we'd have to worry about.
It's such a stereotype at this point, though. Like I know this is like kind of off topic, but when you hear like an insane story and you're like,
it's Florida. Yeah, it always is.
Florida, you're like, yep.
I love it. It's a fun stereotype, if ever there was one. Even a lot of my friends that live down there embrace it. Like, yep, that's pretty much it.
That's Florida.
Everybody's high and having fun.
And it's hot, too. So that increases their insanity when they're in those states,
So, of course, there is that time where Ben ends up, not Ben, the Jersey Devil does end up getting in the house and does his thing. In fact, that's probably the only time you see like a figure like that where they just got a guy in a suit simply walk in the house like that. And
they really missed an opportunity to have the husband come home and catch them together and have the devil in like a devil voice be like, bro, this isn't what it looks like, or something.
That probably would have happened during the later movies,
no.
But I did find it interesting. The devil didn't decide to stop by the bathroom on the way out. But
like he was just cleaning himself off.
Yeah.
accidentally pees on like a picture frame, because that happens after sex for some reason. You know, it's like all skewed. It goes off at like a right angle.
Skeet skeet.
We've all seen fucking what was it? Me, Myself, and Irene. I think we know.
Oh yeah.
But after that, of course, she gets pregnant, and she does that. I think no, they did the drawing beforehand, but the idea of the drawing was if you project something positive, then you'll end up having a positive future. So she did that drawing with them as a family and with a child, which she later changes once she kind of comes back to her senses after Ben is after what happened to Ben. But she kind of gets possessed after becoming pregnant, does that paranormal activity thing, and then kind of just has the child at the house. And the guy's like, well, what's going on? Oh, I've had our child. And then he just kind of like ran off, and Ben just kind of ran off into the woods.
Yeah, that's what you do when when you're a devil baby.
Apparently.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think like in terms of lore building, it was cool. I think in terms of characters, it sucked. I think in terms of consistency in, you know, the franchise, it was impeccable with the house and everything. I think a lot of filmmakers, were they to make a series like this, would kill to have such a consistent location to shoot it in. You know, it very much had the same vibe of the first one. I'll give it that. Like, it did have that same feeling. It's just the people we were watching on camera were somehow less likable than that dumpy older dude and his fucking dad briefs being mean to the ghost. Like, that's what I wanted the entire time. We did get some of that with Mona, where she's like, I'm not scared of you. You know what's in this bag? Like, I'm strapped, fool. Like, is basically what she came into the house with. And I like that part. I don't know.
I found it, I don't know about you, but I kind of felt disappointed when the guy, right before he dies, comes out with, you know, what the guy was saying backwards. He was just kind of saying, get out, which, you know, that's not something to kill a guy over. At least not in my opinion.
Well, and just, they could have used, I feel like it was a missed opportunity with the backwards speech and stuff to do a lot more lore building with the story, you know, just saying get out. I mean, why waste the time he could have wrote that on like a steamy mirror or something, like any other ghost movie, you know. Did it really need to be something that we had to have translated? I don't know.
I did like how you get the scene of when he's been dead and the husband's coming in. You just see the friend's body being dragged into the woods. I don't know why, but it was almost comical to me.
It was. And one of the times when he was talking backwards on the video too, it almost sounds like he says, "You're a stinky bitch." At one point, I thought that was super fucking funny. I don't know if that was intentional or if it just worked out that way because of the syllables being moved around, but I thought that was pretty comical. You're a stinky bitch. And there's that whole stink thing with the house, you know. I liked the element. I mean, we didn't really get that in the first one because it was just a dude in the house the whole time. But I like the idea that different people in the house smelled the smell as different smells.
Yeah, because she had smelled it like as the perfume that her mother.
Right.
The rest of them were like, is there like a septic tank leak or something here in the house?
Which is just so subtly disgusting and raunchy to think about this girl. Like, everybody else smells it as being gross, but she's like intentionally wafting in this shit smell and feeling nostalgic over it. Like, it added a gross element to the movie that I thought was welcome, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but
of course, at the end, you have that final showdown. And he kind of goes off on baby Ben and says, I'm going to destroy it. And then, of course, she intervenes and kills him. And you end it with Ben in the basement, which, of course, you get to see the picture she draws of Ben in chains. And then she goes off to be killed in the woods, which I think that the good spirits in the house at this point are the husband and wife, and of course the other guy ends up passing on. And a weird moment.
It's debatable because did we ever get any closure to her mom's ghost being around? I mean, Mona was like talking to her. I don't remember if they closed that out or not.
That's the other thing, is that you got this kind of weird thing that all of the generations of the mothers of the devils were like living in the house, which is something interesting that they could build on, or could have built.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously you say could have built on, so I assume they don't, which is a disappointment. But yeah, I mean, I really liked the connection to the Jersey Devil, and you mentioned that after we did the first discussion, which I guess in hindsight I should have pieced together with the way the baby looked. I think he did mention it during the discussion too, and it did kind of look like the Jersey Devil. I'm used to seeing it with more of like a horse head, and I guess like the classic interpretations of the devil that you see when you look up cryptid shit.
And keep in mind, I've seen the other films when we talked last.
I don't know, man. I think this movie, its main problem is it tries a little too hard to be something that it should have been leaning absolutely away from, you know. The similarity between this shit and Paranormal Activity should have ended at it being found footage. That should have been it, you know, and it generally involving paranormal stuff. They have a really cool angle here with the Jersey Devil stuff. It just feels like a third of this movie, or like half of it, maybe at least, feels like it's just trying to be the next Paranormal Activity, like you said, and that takes away from a lot of cool stuff that is built in this movie.
And I do agree. I think that, I mean, the best thing about this film is that it does install a lot of the lore into the series. I think if they had decided to go forward on a very serious note from here, it could have played even more into it. It plays some into it in the future, but and they go back into a little bit more of the lore as you go. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's one of the later Bad Ben films. The Way In, I think it is, gives a little bit more insight as to that. And they introduce a few more spirits and demons as they go, which is also interesting. I think that the Bad Ben series, this is kind of a eat your vegetables before you can have the main course type thing.
Yep. It's them laying a foundation and letting, getting the footing for probably what I would assume would be more movies to come, you know.
I mean, the woman, the spiritualist comes in there and she brings in of course, the Lord's Prayer and the cross and the Bible. She implants those. She does the Bad Ben grave. We see the drawing is done by the wife. They find that child's toy sitting there.
Well, she says earlier in the movie that the music box too was like hers. She had the same one when she was a kid, and it very well could have been the same one, you know.
So that's a possibility as well. So there's some cool things I think that set it up. I mean, they even set up how she has decided to take the knives after she ends up killing somebody with the knife, and she realizes, oh crap, look what I did. So she hides all the knives after that.
Yeah,
and where the blood on the baby blanket where the husband had killed, in quotation marks, Ben.
It knits together a lot of points from the first one that are satisfying. I will give it that. And I will say maybe honestly, let's balance it out to 2/3. I think 2/3 of the movie is pretty good. It's just that first third of the movie and really the two characters that are our main characters that suck about this one. So I guess I would revise my initial statement. I don't think the movie is ass. I think those characters are ass, and that's just because they're kind of ass people, you know.
Well, you don't have to worry about them again.
True enough.
That's it. Pretty well establishes that they're all dead at the end of this, except for the old woman. Now, I admit one of my favorite lines in this film is where she says, "I'm taking the recliners" at the end. I don't know why that cracks me up, but
right. I've never understood the point of annoying, whiny characters in non-slasher movies, basically, because you're not going to get to see them viscerally shredded, you know. And that's the whole payoff to annoying characters like that in horror movies, is you get to see them get fucking broke off, you know. Whereas in a movie like this, there's only so much you can hope for. I mean, no one's going to get decapitated or get their head crushed or anything like that. So it's you don't necessarily get that same like yes feeling when those annoying characters finally get dealt with. That being said, once they start the lore building in this movie, I was far more interested in that than I was the characters themselves. So I guess it softened their annoyingness a little bit. And they also got kind of swept up in the events of the movie as well. So,
yeah, I had watched Maximum Overdrive this week as well for the first time because I'd never seen it before.
How did you find that? I meant to ask you.
What, Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah.
I want to say Vestron did a re-release of it. And
I feel like, yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I need to get a hold of it, and I found it cheaply. But the wife and the husband-wife newlywed couple, she reminds me of that character.
A little bit, yeah. I can see that, totally.
Because that character was very annoying, but...
Fucking A, dude.
And also, of course, that one got less of her just desserts than the one in Bad Ben. Because she lived.
Sure enough.
So, spoilers for a movie much older than Bad Ben. But I know people haven't seen it because I had not seen it before this week.
I'm surprised at that, to be honest, because that's one of those like rental ones I couldn't stay away from as a kid. It had that truck with the Green Goblin face on it on the cover. So,
well, you see, I was familiar with Trucks, which was the lower budget sci-fi film version that came out later, and of course, I also watched Killdozer about a month or so before that. So it's kind of like cool seeing all these similar films.
Right. Killdozer, maybe. I don't know if that's based on the actual Killdozer, but that's a little different. Maximum Overdrive is rad, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can definitely see the similarities between that lady and that lady from that couple for sure. And you are right. It is a bummer she doesn't get ran over.
But what did y'all well, of course, Kim is indisposed, but what did you think of the effects in this film?
I thought they were pretty good. I mean, the way they kept up that same sort of found footage vibe where like you don't see anything long enough to really nitpick it too much for the most part. You kind of have to try to nitpick the effects in this, I would say, because they all happen so quick and are done so sort of seamlessly with the actual reality that's portrayed in the movie that it doesn't feel like too jarring or anything like that. It didn't have as many things in it that made me go like, whoa, that was neat, as the first one did. But we didn't have as much of a close-up personal account of this, I guess you could say, as the first movie did, because it being just one guy and us following his events and him being filming for a totally justifiable reason the whole time made sense, and we were just with that one character. So we basically saw everything he saw from one angle or another. In this one, there's multiple characters. There's a lot of different events going on. So we didn't really get as much of an intimate look, I don't feel like, as with as much of the little different effects and things as we did in the first one. So I thought it all held up pretty well. I didn't feel like it was any difference in quality to what they were doing in the first one. They just did some different things that they didn't do that time around.
I think he is trying to step up some of his game with, having the kind of ghost wandering around the house and a couple of the extra camera tricks. I think that a lot of the stuff, and whenever I look at a film that's in this range, kind of the B-movie range, I always grade on a curve when it comes to special effects. I look at that and it's like, when somebody has very few resources, what kind of things they put together are pretty amazing. And I got to give him that. He utilizes further effects as we get to other movies like the Mandela effect with the dolls coming after him and things like that. So you get to see a little bit more building on these types of effects as it goes. But a lot of it's subtle, and a lot of the other uses, like, we see a lot of the recurrence, like the shadows, the furniture moving, wires that are used to move people or objects as needed. It's so I think he's just kind of adding to it, but in a more subtle way.
It works. I mean, the only thing I would complain about is, as funny as I think it is like the makeup job on Elijah. Yeah. It's just literally just, white grease paint with his eyes blacked in. And, when you see a couple of shots where it really shows him in detail, it's like, that is just like the dude from Mushroomhead, I would have blended it down. I would have made it like more corpse paintish, but that it blended into like the contours of his cheeks or something, made it look like his eyes were like bleeding some type of oil or something different than just having his eyes blacked in. And that wouldn't have cost them any extra money to do. When you consider that they probably shot these movies very much on the fly, in a sense, I can forgive a lot of stuff that might have gone wrong with it, but that makeup job is about the only thing I can think of in the movie that like really bumps me out.
So, would you have a favorite scene on this film?
Oh, dude, the lady unlocking the door. She was super fucking rude to her, and that lady's like, well, then fuck it. You can get that demon semen. Like, I'm just going to unlock this door, and you're on your own then, Not that, anybody else in the movie would have needed the door to be unlocked, but the devil himself coming in to, consecrate the deed or whatever, needed it. And then just that whole scene. I also found it very weird that she didn't tell her, like, bring it up to her husband right away that something like that had happened,
Well, she thought it was him.
Right, which when she found him sleeping on the couch, you'd think she'd be like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, she accepted that like, oh, well, after he did that, I guess he'd have to sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
He did scratch the heck out of her back, so hey.
True, which implies certain positions, which is funny, but and also pretty damn, but that whole sequence with her unlocking the door, I think, is my favorite, and just everything with Mona in general, I thought was cool, even though she is probably the cheesiest performance we've seen so far.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
she's very much an old lady, like reading lines that they gave her. But I thought that like her addition to the movie was cool, and the fact that she was like the reverse, I guess, of Zelda or whatever from Poltergeist.
Yeah, for me, it's probably that last line where she's like, "I'm taking the recliners," but I did like that and I also like that they ended it with our main character coming in and checking out the house and looking at us like, "Yep, I'm going to make a bid on the sheriff's sale." And that's,
again, that just speaks to the continuity and the consistency of this so far. Like, it really does end full circle.
And that's probably. Like I said, I would feel normally, this is probably, as I said, this is my least favorite. There are others in this that kind of are more miss than hit, but this one to me was more of a miss than a hit overall.
True.
But it had some stuff that I felt was kind of cool, and also I have a hard time seeing the series without it. So
I think it qualifies pretty solidly for one of those sequels that's annoying but does cool stuff for the franchise,
But of course,
There's other ones out there.
Of course, we're
Go
lucky enough to have had most of these films already released. So next month, we can just go right into Bad or Ben. We don't have to wait a while for it to come out. Though he was releasing about 2 of these a year. So I can't remember. I don't think it was that long between the two.
Right. And it doesn't feel like it was. It feels like it's almost seamless, like it was shot a few weeks later before in the context of the story. But
so let's see here. So if I was to go in and look up, so we've got, let's see, we got Bad Ben, which was done in 2016. Of course, there is a Bad Ben video game now, which is was done this year. Let's see here, Bad Ben, Steelmanville Road. Let's see here. Let me see if I can just put Bad Ben 2. Oh, let's see what it's got, because it only has the Bad Benny. Bad Ben Pandemic. Bad Beats. Well, that's not in the Bad Ben series. So it could very well go along. Maybe Bad Ben is a DJ. And
that'd be cool. He just scratches the ghosts away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was that Christmas episode where he was singing and it drives the ghosts away.
I don't know, man. I think my hype for this one has been sort of simultaneously disappointed and satisfied. It had some cool shit in there that I really do like being added into the lore of the series, I guess. But overall, I just didn't like the characters. And I think, we're probably pretty similar in that in a lot of ways, where if we don't enjoy the people in a movie or what's happening, then it's hard to commit to it. The first third of it was really the problem area. After that, once the lady comes to the house and they start introducing stuff, is where it gets good. But
okay,
so it's sort of simultaneously good and bad, much in the same way that the new Texas Chainsaw is. So
I've got the order real quick, and then I'll hit that, and then we'll wrap up. So you got Bad Ben in October of 2016. And then this film in May of 2017. So it's not been that long. It's been 8 months in between.
Right. Which, when you consider post-production and everything on films and all that stuff, then maybe, not that far apart in the grand scheme of things. It definitely feels that way, too. Like it came relatively quickly after the first one,
So then you've got Bad or Ben, the final chapter. Boy, I wonder what they were playing on there. In October of 2017. So again, not that long. Actually, even less time between those two.
They would jump the gun with the final chapter, though. They should have waited till the fourth one.
Yeah, Then they got the Mandela effect, which was
they should have done Bad Ben 3 in 3D.
Actually, it's weird because the third to fourth film, maybe he did intend it to be the final chapter, because the fourth film came in June of 2018. So that actually is much further down than a full month from the other. Then Crescent Moon Clown. Then The Way-In in 2019. Yeah, then The Haunted Highway in 2019. And then Pandemic in 2020 and Benign in 2021, which makes sense because the pandemic kind of slowed down his run, because those were about a year apart almost.
Dude, whatever you feel about the series aside, the dude consistently put out movies, it sounds like, on a pretty regular time frame that people could depend upon for a solid few years, so that's commendable in its own right.
And he's got a new one coming out almost on schedule in May or June. He's got another one coming out. So it's so he's very consistent. He likes to put them out in that May, June, and then one in the fall in that October-ish, October-November area.
It definitely seems like he's got it figured out to like drop them at a time that's going to make the most sense for people like us that like this kind of shit, because it sounds like you get one like sort of in the spring when you're hurting for horror movies to watch, and then you get one to go along with like your Halloween fall time schedule, you know. And that's pretty cool.
Well, if it goes on the way it is, we'll be not hitting the next one on time, but if he does nail that October, November, we'll be covering the 11th film in November, and then we can cover the Christmas special in December. So we'll be able to hit a full year of Bad Ben if he stays to his guns.
That's dope, dude. I love that this worked out in very much the same way that the Ghibli discussions worked out, which if we get that final Ghibli movie, we'll be able to close out the second year of that with the new movie, you know. So that's pretty cool. I think these were meant to happen. I don't know if that means I'm going to get impregnated by the Jersey Devil anytime soon, but if it happens, you know what? I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to welcome him with open arms, see what happens. Maybe we can figure it out, okay?
You could send them on grocery store runs like Ben is later on in the series.
Yeah, you could fly down there and fucking pick up our Walmart, like, you know, park and pay thing. It could be a good setup, so hit me up, man. I mean, I know Oregon's a long way from the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, but better weather out here. So is Kim not coming back? Do we not get her favorite?
Well, if she cuts back beforehand, we'll get that. Otherwise, I'll give her a bit of an outro as we go. But tell us a little bit about what's going on. I know you did. You just did another podcast prior to this one. What was going on with that one?
Well, Forrest is starting some discussions, more so like you know, a couple friends get together and review a movie. It's not so much an in-depth discussion show, it seems like, but we talked about the new Scream movie, and they gave their thoughts on that, and I kind of interjected my outsider opinions, you know, from the outside looking in kind of thing. And then we also did the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we didn't really spoil. We talked about mostly the logistics and the overall thing of it, and like you know, we gave it basically did a movie review of it, but then talked specifically about certain kills and moments in it and stuff like that. So minor spoilers involved in that one, but it was pretty fun, man. I'm looking forward to doing more of those with Forrest, because I think it's a good way for all of us to be able to perfect our ability to get our thoughts about a movie out, and basically the time it would take to do our first impressions, and then, you know, interject whatever little additions we want to say on top of that after the fact, you know. It was a good time. Hopefully Forrest does more of those. And we're actually going on after this, me and my buddy Clinton Don, to do our top 5 favorite horror remakes and our top 5 worst horror remakes, as well as remakes that we'd like to see and remakes that we think should never happen.
Ooh,
I don't have too much.
That sounds like
a fun discussion, actually.
If you guys want in on it, we'll send you the link when it's live, because that's basically what we'll be doing. That might put you guys right up to Jake's, like, you know, birthday.
It might be one of those where one of us would take a break from it while we cook, and then the other one continue talking.
Hey, that's totally fine, dude. But that's basically what we got going on today. Today's turned into quite the stream-a-palooza for me.
I was gonna say, next week you've got the on your channel retro
Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky. What else is coming up on your channel?
Well, we got the Trancers reviews, which, you know, contrary to probably popular belief at this point, I have been stacking the clips for. I've got 4 out of the 5 like actually reviewed and edited. I just have to shoot wraparounds for them, you know, so me introducing the review and then saying goodbye, basically. And then after that, you know, so that's what's going to be coming out as far as the full moon content goes. And then I've got a bunch of comic book reviews that I've been doing for the Retro Cult Comic Connection, which is going to just be hilarious, good fun all the time. And it's just brief comic book recommendation reviews, you know, for newer stuff that's came out in terms of horror and sci-fi and fantasy comics. I'm not so much into the superhero stuff. I mean, I do like some of it, but, you know, so we're going to have some comic book reviews, and then we're also going to be doing, you know, our general live streams like the monthly Ghibli reviews, some pickup streams, you know, and then general horror discussions. I'm trying to get going on more in there. So if you guys want to be involved in any of these top fives or different things like that, there's always going to be opportunities for that in the near future. So Kim, we're looking forward to seeing you there for your top 5 body horror, because we're going to definitely be talking about a lot of fun stuff. And we definitely have to do like a franchise-wide Hellraiser discussion at some point.
With this kid. Yeah, we definitely look
This
forward
kid,
to.
she said.
We definitely look forward to the channel stuff. So Kim, did you have a favorite scene in the Steelmanville Road?
Before we get to that, though, Kim, what's going on with that movie journal? I was looking forward to seeing that.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
I haven't had a chance to film any more videos lately. I'm going to try to film some more videos for it tomorrow. So, wow, he's got the cat dancing. So I'm gonna try to film some more videos tomorrow.
Even he's stoked for the movie journal.
Yep. She's going to help us film some stuff to help out our friend Dane for his project as well tomorrow, which will be good.
Kim makes good content. Don't sleep on her channel.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I kind of like decided to also start posting over on, I can't believe I'm saying this, TikTok, because I discovered last night how
we all have to embrace the tick and the
the clock app. Yeah, I realized last night just how freaking easy it is to edit a 1 to 3 minute video for TikTok and get it uploaded. It was so freaking easy. I did like a little vlog and I was like, wow, I want to know who is complaining out there. It's hard. TikTok is hard work. No, it's not.
I'm thinking of starting a TikTok channel called Cinema Fantastork with Mo, where we just go to movies and get ripped and then watch the movie and then come out and share like our thoughts in 2 minutes. The Cinema Fantastork. You guys have heard of Cinema Fantastique, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm going for, is just that. It would have like a fancy schmancy like intro, but then it's just me at the movie theater in the lobby afterwards. Like, this was funny and I liked, you know, this and this. Could be a good time. My kid would probably get involved in a lot more of those just because it's TikTok too. So that's kind of my hope for that. But that's something I gotta kick around with her a little bit more. It's a platform we shouldn't ignore, you know. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram's a big deal. I go over on Instagram like once every 5 months, and I always have like, you know, a handful of messages about shit that I've done from people that I've missed. You know, I've been invited to a couple of things on Instagram that I missed because I don't frequent my Instagram, you know. So it's one of those things, guys. We're getting old, okay? It's hard to embrace those fucking new social media platforms because they seem lame, and it's just a bunch of kids on there eating Tide Pods or whatever they do. I don't know. I don't watch it.
It's not.
But
a lot of older people
yeah.
on TikTok.
There is, yeah. There's, and I'm sure there's plenty of angry guys doing political rants in their trucks. But the point is that it's always going to exist on whatever platform you go to, and TikTok seems to be an easy place to put together quick videos for your shit. We'd probably get a lot more views on stuff like this, Brandon, or the Inside Movies Galore stuff if we all shot like quick little TikTok like video ads plugging it, and just put them on there, and people would be like, that was kind of funny. I might actually listen to the discussion. TikTok's a source. You're onto it, Kim. I hope you do good with it.
So what was your favorite scene in Steelmanville Road, Kim?
Oh God! I probably when the friend was telling her off.
Yeah,
Because
too.
I fucking hated that girl. So when the friend was like basically checking her, I was like, yes, someone's finally fucking saying it.
He does it in a nice way, though, like in a, you know, not in a nice way, like intentionally nice, but he does it. He's such
he does tell her that she's making her husband miserable. So I don't know about nice,
dude. But you gotta understand that on some level that dude has to be her friend on some level by this point, because, you know, they have that vibe where it's like she likes him, but she also kind of hates him because it's the husband's best friend. But the way he tells her, where he's like, look, you know, you're stuck out here, basically. You're miserable. He's miserable because you won't let him work later, like do things, basically. Like the way he puts it to her feels very, I mean, she didn't flip out on him and start chucking vases at him or anything, so he wasn't being like inflammatory with it. If you
Until
feel
she
me.
stabs her to death with a knife later.
Yeah.
That's later, bro. But these things happen. But he, you know, you as far as that interaction that Kim's talking about, like he's very cool about it, is what I wanted to point out. You know.
So
I wouldn't have been as cool about it. I would have been like, "You're a nagging." I would have went in on that lady because by that point we're all annoyed with her too. So it's like, "You're a nagging bitch. Everything that comes out of your mouth sounds like fucking whining. Would you want to come home from work after working late where this dude's wherever he is, fucking busting tables? I don't know. We can't tell. He just wears a shirt and tie. But would you want to come home and hear your face right now?" You know, that's the type of shit that I would have probably said to that girl, and she might have thrown a vase at me. But he was nice. You know?
So I don't know as much about what's going on with our channel here in the near future, because next week we're filming something for a friend, and I am trying to get another Anhedenia project episode out next week. I mean, I did get one this past week on Fleas 2, which that one, you talk about when you take very little money and you somehow use it to your advantage. That one did a very good job of making me cringe at minimal work. So I got to give it that. That one disturbed me at that level. The Fleas one was pretty good. Of course, Inside Movies Galore is going to be wrapping up with Jacob's picks for the month, which people have loved and people have not so loved. And this time it's going to be on Delusions of Grandeur. We're going to be going on Tuesday, talking about Hail Caesar. And that's going to be around 9-ish Eastern Standard Time. And then later that night, who knows when that will be, but later that night on Inside Movies Galore, we're going to then follow it up with the Grand Budapest Hotel. And I will say this one is a very cool pairing. The movies have a lot of similarities to them. Coen Brothers and Wes Anderson do have some similarities in how they do things, and they are directors that are very easy to spot if you're watching one of their films.
For sure. And let's put it this way, dude. Jake's month, as these guys might not have liked these movies, but in discussion, they've actually been able to participate in certain talking points on them. So the types of films that even if you don't like them, you'll be thankful you watched them later, because you'll be able to recognize certain themes or techniques or writing things or different stuff like that in other movies. They are definitely good filmmaker movies.
And I do think that this month is a good, one of the biggest indicators this month has is it shows that we as a group on that channel watch things that are not always within our comfort zone. And sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't, but we do try to talk about it. And I think that makes for an interesting discussion. So I am looking forward to seeing how that goes this Tuesday. So you'll have to join on Dave's channel, which both channels are linked down below. By the time this comes out, that talk will not only will that talk have come out, but let's see. Actually, no, it'll just have been that one, because it'll be this Friday that this will be released. We're doing the recording on a Sunday, so we're gonna. It's gonna be released this Friday, because this Friday is the last Friday of the month.
So you have exactly like a week and 2 days to prepare yourself to come and, or no, actually you have 2 days to come and find us live by that point and hang out for Castle in the Sky.
We're gonna have two anime discussions back to back. Sunday we're doing Castle in the Sky, and then Monday, I don't know whether you'll join us Monday or not, Mo, but we'll be discussing my favorite anime series of all time, Honey and Clover.
I'll be there.
Is a fun. We're just going to do the first season, but we're doing the second season in the follow-up month, and we've already got some differing points of view. Brittany was talking about how she definitely disliked it when we were talking, so we're going to have a dislike, and which will be interesting to have that back and forth. So I think it's going to be fun. So we will.
I know it's going to be fun, dude. It's going to be rad.
So again, thank you, Mo, for joining us tonight. I look.
Thank you.
I wanted specifically to have you on with us for this type of discussion. So I look forward to us as we continue down the Bad Ben Highway, and look forward to the end of next month when we discuss Badder Ben, the final chapter.
They really did too miss an opportunity not to do one that was like Ben Hard, Ben Harder. They should have played off of some movie titles at some point in there for like non-genre specific stuff, you know.
And I want to say that it has probably one of Kim's favorite lines from the Bad Ben. That's the one where he's like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
So it's going to be very fun. So we will see each other then. Again, thank you all very much for watching. Click like, subscribe, share, but we'll see you all on the next.